Welcome, episode 21
Hello.
of So You Want to Be a Star in the music business. Today we're discussing the wonderful world of performing. You have performing in the sense of just, I'll say, non-paid performances because you have private events, there's album release parties, and so many different ways of just getting your name out there. But we want to talk about the ones that pay you. So there's
And the
going to
many
be
ways that you get paid, and you have
and the
choices.
different ways that you get paid, right? Because you can only perform and attempt to build your career as an artist for so long without getting paid. So we're talking about the paid options. The
How
first
many
one,
ways are there, Kevin?
two main ways, which they can either be separate or it can be a combination of both, depending on your situation. So I guess one of the first ones we'll talk about is performing with a guarantee, and I'll have Mitch give details on that.
Yeah, we're just going to talk about the guarantee part. The second one would be taking a percentage of the box office, and of course there's a third one which is a hybrid, which is both taking some money guaranteed to you and taking some money from the box office in addition. The guaranteed is pretty much is exactly the fact that the promoter, the buyer, is saying to you, no matter who shows up, we're paying you this amount of money. So with that, you know if it's going to cover your expenses, give you salaries, you're going to have it all figured out, and you don't have to worry about how many tickets are sold. This very often happens in casinos when they are asking performers to be there in order to bring people to the casino. They don't really care about making money at the concert.
Mm-hmm.
All they want to do is make sure that
Atmosphere.
there's something attractive to bring people into the casino. This also would happen if somebody has a wedding and they need you there. They just want to know there's music there and perhaps somebody famous performing.
That's right.
So the concept is that we're just going to pick a number. Let's say they're going to pay you $10,000 for an evening. You're going to want some of that up front. One, you're going to have expenses if you have to fly there, if you have to get your own hotel room. Perhaps you've negotiated that they will provide the hotel room, that they will buy the plane tickets. Those are variations. It depends the situation. Most buyers these days don't want to be bothered with the details. So they're going to say to the performer, here's a bunch of money, just get here whatever way you want, take care of yourself, just show up.
So when you say the details, explain more of that.
Well, there are many details that a band member or a whole band or a performer have to worry about. You don't just show up, especially if it's in another city. You have costumes, you have your musical instruments, you have a sound system, you have lights, and depending on and of course you have to sleep overnight perhaps. Mm-hmm. You have to get from the airport to the hotel. You have to get from your home to the airport. Or you're taking a bus or you're riding a van, and we know that gas right now is going up around $4, so that's very expensive. Expenses. And if you have a band, you have to worry about the different expenses that each band member has. And ideally, you're trying to make sure you don't lose money by working. And better than that, you're actually making some. So all of these have to figure into it. So once you negotiate a price, and remember, you're being paid as an independent contractor, which means no taxes will be taken out, but you are going to be responsible for your own taxes. That's going to be another video class, has nothing to do with this one. Basically, then, you have your $10,000 coming in, out of which you have to pay your expenses. Well, when you when you get a hotel room, they want to know you have a credit card up front. When you do an airline flight for, let's say you have a group of 3 people,
you got to get it in advance,
and you're laying it out, and the airlines do not give you refunds anymore. You may get some credit, and then even with the credit, you have to pay $150 to change the flight. So one way or the other, you are laying out money, and you have no money to guarantee that this show is going to happen. Mm-hmm. So you are going to ask for a deposit. Not every circumstance will pay you a deposit. I tell you right up front, if you're working at a state fair or any government agency, or most universities are not allowed by law to pay deposits. That's a problem. But when they sign a contract, you've got the backing of a government behind you. So chances are you will get paid.
So the people who can pay out deposits, how do artists, what format do they get these deposits? How do they get this money?
Okay, well, if you are lucky enough to have a booking agent, they will have escrow accounts set up at their bank, which means that hopefully it's 50%, but whatever percentage has been agreed to will be paid by the buyer to your booking agent into their escrow account, where it sits until the concert is over. But this means that in case the buyer screws you and the concert is canceled last minute, you know you have at least 50% of the money in the bank, and the booking agent is authorized to give it to you for the fact that didn't happen and that it wasn't your fault. I'll give you a really good example that we just went through. For example, let's pick what cities?
Let's do New York, Miami, and take it international. Let's go to Paris.
To Paris. Okay. Your group is lucky enough to have a gig in Miami. You're living in New York. You have tickets from New York to Miami and back to New York. All of a sudden, you get a last-minute offer to go to Paris. I'm sorry, to Paris.
Either one.
Okay. That means, one, you've got to buy new tickets from Miami to Paris and then from Paris back to New York, preferably, because you don't want to waste an extra day of your time going back to Miami.
I got a headache just from him saying that.
It's pretty awful. It's pretty awful. Not only that, remember it's international, so now you need your passport. You're going to have all sorts of things to consider, and you may have a withholding tax coming out of the fee that you're having in this other country.
Exchange rates.
Thank you. Exchange rates also with the money. So now we have this arranged, and 3 days before the concerts begin, Paris cancels on you. What do?
Take a vacation.
You can, and then you're paying for the hotel room and the flights out of your own
Either
money.
way, right.
The other choice is hopefully you had a deposit in the bank. Certainly for international flights, international concerts, the booking agents I tend to work with require the international promoters to pay 100% of the money before the concert actually begins into the escrow account, which means if the band cancels, all that money goes back to the promoter. So both sides are protected that way. Very complex, and if you don't think this happens, I will tell you it's happened 3 times to clients of ours in just the past 6 months.
Yep.
So you have to be worried about this. You have to get the money. If you're just playing a club in Brooklyn and it's down the street from you and you don't have these expenses, whatever. You do whatever you have to do. So we're going to leave it at this. Basically, you have a guarantee. You try to get a deposit up front. No money is paid to the performers until after the concert. The rest of the money, by the way, 50% of it is a deposit. 50% is paid
A second before you go on stage.
There you go. And the key word to that is before you go on stage. There are crooks in this business. If you say, hey, it's okay, you pay me after I walk off stage, and if they've run out of money, and let's say the audience isn't as large as they thought, they may say, hey, I only have part of the money to pay you.
Go to the bathroom.
You're right.
Be right back.
You don't want to have to carry guns. You don't want to have to threaten kneecaps or anything like that. So what you do is you have your road manager or whoever you've designated get cash. Yes, you heard me. Cash. Or a certified check.
Rubber band.
The whole thing, before you walk on stage. If you don't get paid before you walk on stage, you walk. Now, that's a really hard thing to say to a band that doesn't want to miss a gig.
Yeah.
But think about it. Different circumstances. Certainly, if your uncle is the person who's buying your concert, you're in a different situation. But all these nice people out there, everyone's struggling these days. Everyone's having money problems. So be aware. You want to do everything up front, and you want to show up on time, and you want to do your part so that the promoter and buyer does not have to complain that you haven't done what you said.
And I think another question we'll just save for the next video, but some people are probably wondering, how do you get to the point of even getting a guarantee offer? So what is it about you or your act that the promoter is willing to do a guarantee? So that's probably another video, and we'll discuss that on the next
All
one.
right, and that's it for today. And yes, there's a lot more to discuss, and we're going to keep doing these videos. So we hope you'll keep watching.
Mitch Weiss,
That's me.
Kevin Curtin.
That's him.
Check out the website, www.MWEntGroup.com, and follow us on Twitter.
_MWEG. Thank you for watching.
See you next time.